Yeah, we're going to talk Tales of the Jedi. Dropped 6 episodes last week. Yeah, let's do it. Let's just jump right in. I'm going to start with Corey. We're going to go straight in with Corey's opinion on what do you think of the 6 episodes of Tales of the Jedi?
Well, there's a lot of, well, not a lot. It was a lot of episodes, but they're all like 15, 20 minutes. So it went pretty quick. I had to rewatch the middle part because I watched it super late at night and I fell asleep. But I'm super glad I did because I missed huge parts of these. It was crazy. I completely missed the whole Yaddle aspect. And so I went back. I was like, oh, hey, there we go. No loose ends. Kill them all. No, I really enjoyed these. It was kind of a blast from the past, kind of Clone Wars Rebels. It was like a new and improved version of it. Like, I love the color grading they did. Yeah. The animations were on point. They were improved. One of the biggest issues I have with the animation style that he has is whenever someone runs, they look terrible. And there was a point where Anakin was running. I was like, oh, that's a little bit better. Okay. So just in the whole, it just, everything was improved. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And the lighting was super good. And my favorite parts are probably the Count Dooku episodes with Qui-Gon. That was an interesting aspect of it, kind of how quickly they kind of just revealed Qui-Gon getting killed, and I was like, dang. But yeah, I think overall, the episodes were really entertaining. It's something I really have been missing. Yeah, I was really glad that they released those because in the midst of watching Andor, I'm like, I need Star Wars.
Lightsabers!
I want Star Wars. Thank you. So I got Star Wars. So I was really happy about that.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I think along with a bunch of the Clone Wars stuff and basically a bunch of things we've got from Dave Filoni, it just adds that connective tissue that it just makes the prequel, era specifically just that much better, and specifically with Dooku and Qui-Gon. I mean, they're just such interesting Jedi in character, in their own aspect, that it's cool to see, like, how Count Dooku got to the point where he is in episode 2. And, of course, seeing more Qui-Gon is always good. So, yeah, I agree. I think those were my favorite episodes. I still enjoyed the Ahsoka stuff, but, the Qui-Gon and Dooku really stole the show for me.
Yeah, I think I may be a complete idiot, but I hadn't nodding.
Yes, sir.
But I really didn't really think about the aspect of that Dooku was still part of the Jedi Order during Phantom Menace. Like seeing that in the cartoons, I was like, oh, like
he was around.
Maybe I didn't. He was around. So that was really cool, and seeing him do all the getting rid of Camino and all that kind of stuff. Like Mick said, I think it really enhances Dooku in the prequels because you have even that conversation with Obi-Wan was like, I wish Qui-Gon were here. Like that kind of stuff that they did. Yeah. Kind of seeing, again, it reinforces how dumb the Jedi Council is. Like I feel like they could have avoided a ton of issues. They could have avoided Anakin going to the dark side, but they were just kind of dumb. I think the worst Jedi in all of history is Mace Windu. I think he's the worst because in every opportunity
we got some hardcore Mace Windu fans on the podcast.
Well, guess what? He's the worst. He single-handedly is like the reason that Anakin went down, and he's the reason why Dooku went down, because he's like, I'll put in a good word for you. You should have followed the rules. Like, get out of here, dude. You solved a murder. You figured out what was going on. You're like, hey, but since you didn't follow the protocol, guess like I'm taking her spot. Hey, I'll put a good word for you, though. Yeah, whatever, Mace Windu. Get out of here. So that's my big takeaway from Tales of the Jedi. Mace Windu sucks.
Yeah.
And I have his replica saber.
That was random, so you didn't choose it.
Yeah, that means you suck. Dang, bummer, bro.
No,
I do agree with you.
I agree, yeah.
I do like that.
Yeah, thank you.
I agree. Mace Windu is the dumbest Jedi ever
of all time.
I don't know about that, but
he is super annoying, and you can't. I do like that comment that Dooku says. He's like, your adherence to the rules is both the sometimes admirable and sometimes infuriating. And you're like, yeah, you're kind of an infuriating person because you're like, we got to do things by the book, guys. You know what I mean? And then it ends up screwing up a bunch of stuff.
That's a huge part of the story, guys. I don't know why.
You know what?
I don't like it.
Well, that's what really set like Dooku and Qui-Gon apart from the Jedi Council.
Right. And I do like, it actually made me, I got a little teary eyed actually at the end of episode 2 when he's like, Qui-Gon and Dooku are having the conversation and he's like, oh, you stopped me. You're a better Jedi than I. And he's like, oh, because of, what you taught me. And they have like this nice little moment walking off. I was like, oh, that sucks because Qui-Gon dies and Dooku turns to the dark side. It's like such a bummer. Like it's one of those like what could have been. If we had a what if series,
that's what they should do.
If Qui-Gon survived, like
Star Wars.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Then do Legends.
Yeah,
you could do that.
That'd be sick.
Because I think even Dave Filoni's talked about like, oh, if Qui-Gon would have survived, Anakin never goes to the dark side because of the teaching of Qui-Gon. And I think it's interesting that Qui-Gon dies, so eventually Anakin goes to the dark side. And even in episode the one about the Sith, we see Qui-Gon dies, and then right after that's when Dooku's like, I mean, he's probably already going down that path, but it's at really that moment where he's like, that's it. That's the end of it. I'm going to kill freaking Yaddle because I've done too much.
And there's moments where Yaddle gives him an out.
Right.
But it had needed to be Qui-Gon. No one else, right? But because Qui-Gon died, that kind of like, that was his last hope. And I thought those scenes were really good. She's giving him chances to be like, hey, you can come back and do this. Like, you're not too far gone. Those scenes were amazing to me. And the moment where you think she got squished in the door and the Force theme hits and she like raises it, like that was like, that gave me chills, only to have her fall and then
happened and I was like, oh, that's a brutal death. Yeah. And then she actually gets killed by him. I was like, oh,
that's even worse.
Yeah, but in that moment, like she made that choice, right? She had the ship behind her. She could have just force jumped away and escaped, but she chose to raise it up and then try one more time.
Yeah, give him one more
Dooku.
chance.
And she died for it. And that was the most emotional moment for me. Was that series of events?
Yeah.
Super good. I got goosebumps. It was really good. I love this series. The series was awesome. I think we got to explore a lot of really cool things. I love the training arc with Ahsoka and Anakin. That was cool. It's dope. Cool. I mean, she's bad A, man. She's really sick.
Yeah.
And I love how kind of Dave Filoni just gets to just keep exploring.
Yeah.
He's basically making Ahsoka like the greatest non-Jedi, ex-Jedi of all time.
Yeah. I mean,
it's awesome.
It's great. And I think the music, again, really like the Kiner brothers understand how to do animation music for Star Wars. It just is amazing. Talking about Yaddle, were you guys surprised that she didn't talk like Yoda? Like the backwards, she just talked normal. Did you guys think that was like the way Yoda talked is how the species talked?
Well, we've only seen 2.
Right.
So yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think it definitely jumped out.
Did it bother you? Because I saw people being annoyed with it.
No, it didn't bother me.
I guess I'm just kind of confused because it's like Grogu can't speak and he's X amount of years, like, isn't he like 100 or something like that? Or like 80? 50? So it's like he's been around for a long time. I was under the assumption that they just had a harder time, like,
learning.
Well, just like, a speech situation where they're like, their brain is so in tune with the Force that like the language part of their brain not as big. Like I thought there was some kind of thing because Grogu isn't talking, right? Yeah. She's,
Interesting.
So I was trying to correlate some kind of similarity because we only had 2. Now we have Yaddle. We've had Yaddle.
Yeah.
Yaddle Yoda.
And then Yaddle was Yaddle Yoda Grogu.
Is Yaddle younger than Yoda?
I mean, so. She looks younger.
I think she was.
She's got some nice hair.
I know,
she got a full head of hair.
Locks.
It stood out to me. Like I had the thought. I was just like,
did they say if they have an explanation for that?
No, but I think the reason they did that is because they want to have Grogu speak normally and not have the Yoda
plot device.
It's a lot harder to. I mean, this may be stupid, but writing lines that don't sound dumb, like Yoda's really well written to be like, because there's a fine line between like, oh, that sounded cool and that sounds just as stupid. And so I think if you're thinking like, hey, let's have another character be here that talks normal so that we can have Yoda. I mean, we can have Grogu in the final seasons of Mandalorian when he's able to talk and he's a teenager basically, or that he has a voice that can like have dialogue. Does that make sense? I think that's why they did it.
And what do you think the explanation for Yoda speaking that way is then?
Trolling.
He's just
Just trolling people.
I wouldn't doubt it.
I mean, look at he walked with the cane, and then he's like, like, and then he's like, for does the cane again? Dude, he's just a troll. Like he did the same thing when he's with Archer. He's like, no, leave mine.
I think it's easier to believe someone having like funny speech when they're old, and when they're really young. Not in between. I think it's kind of more awkward when you have someone having a funny speech thing.
I think there might be a way to explain it. Yoda's so old that he talks like he remembers what it was to be on the planet where he's from. Yaddle was taken, so she grew up around people that spoke English normally.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Grogu's being raised up around Mandalorian, the Mando, who speaks normal, so they're picking up that. Yoda picked up what his parents spoke, which is the native tongue of Yoda.
Well, that's similar how real world
accents,
works. Accents work,
So that's what I would say the in canon way they could do it is
I'd buy that.
Yeah, Yaddle was raised in the Jedi order. Yoda really wasn't. He was kind of one of the main.
Yeah, I totally buy that.
Can I say that's the smartest thing you've ever said on this podcast?
Shut up.
Yeah, I didn't know Yaddle was taken from whatever.
I don't know. We don't know.
Assuming,
but I'm just assuming. I'm just
guessing.
saying that's what how they could do.
That's what generally happens with younger Jedi.
Yeah,
I think that's why they're saying that like Ahsoka doesn't have the accent that her parents have because she was taken when she was young,
Right.
and so she never picked up the accent.
Sounds like Anakin.
I get that. I'm just saying we don't. That's
We
the
don't
thing.
know.
We don't know anything.
Yeah. So that, but
But
that's,
it's a
a
good
great.
explanation.
That's a great
That's a
option.
good explanation.
Thank you.
I think it works.
Thank you.
It's okay. That's okay.
What did you guys think?
I think he has an accent.
What did you guys think of the Ahsoka, I guess, final battle with the Inquisitor? The Inquisitor looks sick. My one complaint is I wanted that to be a little longer.
Yeah.
It was kind of just like took his lightsaber and
Dude,
hacked him.
when I saw his silhouette and his mask, I was like, that's not Darth Revan.
Yeah.
Who's this? Okay,
Yeah.
Inquisitor.
The shot
sick.
with the fire in the back with them, and the music there was like from out of a Western. It was even like that.
Had some
that
some samurai style too.
Like that was just so good. I wish it would have lasted. That's my nitpick. I wish that
way too
was a
quick.
little longer.
Yep.
Give me less of the idiot dude.
Yeah.
It's like, may the force be with you. Give me less of him and more like saber battle. I guess she doesn't have a saber, but like, I don't know. More like force.
I get what you mean, though. It definitely reminded me a lot of the Obi-Wan conflict with Maul. And I think that's probably what they were kind of trying to emulate a little bit. But I think it shows, like, on the other side of looking at it, I think it shows how, like, smart and powerful Ahsoka is at this point.
Yeah.
But I agree. I mean, it's always fun to see a longer, drawn-out.
Yeah. Especially because the dude looks so cool.
Yeah,
I was like,
that was the thing, too.
he
It was
was
like,
that's one of the coolest
we're not gonna see him
designs
again.
for an Inquisitor that I've seen.
Yeah. Was he, what brother was he?
I don't know. They just say Inquisitor in the credits. So
It did kind of suck. She's like, they're like, what are we going to do now? She's like, go to Alderaan. You'll be safe there.
I mean, I don't think they're taking them to
a couple years.
That's
and then you're going to blow up.
That's what I thought too. I don't think they're actually
That's how you get rid of
taking them
loose
to
ends, bro.
Yeah.
Take him to Alderaan. Solves all your plot hole problems.
So the the Inquisitor's saber, are those the crystals that she turns to white?
So I don't know because there's a little light retconning going on, maybe because in the books, in the Ahsoka book, something similar happens. She's staying with a family. An Inquisitor shows up. She kills the Inquisitor and she bleeds or takes his kyber crystals to make
Her white.
her white ones. But it's kind of unclear whether or not this is the same event or
This
if it's
could
like
have
an
happened
interpretation
before.
of it. So it's kind of one of those weird.
It is a Tales of the Jedi, so that implies it's not.
It's all made up.
It's a tale. But yeah, they
They don't name this
They
planet.
don't name the planet.
people,
They don't
so-
name. Yeah, so it could have happened
Right. So who knows? But it's possible.
Sure.
I think the real thing is like they wanted people to get the book. People read the book. Enough years passed that Dave Filoni was like, all right, now I can do my own thing. I mean, the people that read the book are going to be upset. We already got money from that. Oh, well.
Yeah.
So, which I'm very angry because I read the book. So.
Yeah.
How dare you?
So-
Like, what? That's not how this happened.
Yeah, I think
it doesn't
overall,
bother me.
I think overall it was really good.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed them all. You know, like the first episode was okay. It was cool though, seeing kind of just her home planet and stuff like that. But overall, yeah. I mean, I think this series is probably in the low 8s for me. Like, I really enjoyed it. It's super fun.
Mm-hmm. Do you think they'll continue it? Like, do a season 2 where it's like completely different?
I don't, doesn't
characters?
doesn't this just feel like the lead into like the Ahsoka live action, like in a way where it's like, here, know more about Ahsoka if just in case you didn't watch
Yeah, maybe.
Clone Wars. I don't know. There's a lot of Ahsoka content.
That is
That would be cool.
next year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just wondering if it's like doing 6 episodes short stuff, you can continue to do like your animation stuff and be like, hey, every year we'll have like Tales of the Jedi season 2. And it's just kind of like, hey, let's just keep fleshing out stuff. Like they could go up to like episode 9 and stuff like that and do like a Rey kind of thing. So that you could get away with doing that kind of stuff or move around, you know. So I would like them to continue to do that as long as Dave Filoni's doing it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think he's really interested in like, hey, I'm going to connect the prequels and this kind of
Playing in
stuff
that area.
and Ahsoka. Like that's kind of his bread and butter. Like Clone Wars kind of finished these stories that we didn't get to finish in the Clone Wars, you know, because they had a lot of arcs that they didn't get to finish.
Right.
So I could see him doing like Asajj Ventress kind of stuff that they've
cool.
done in books, you know.
Yeah.
I could see them doing that, Tales of the Jedi, and just kind of giving you like, oh, now you can actually see the arcs that we wanted to finish. I'd be down for that. But what do you guys think? Would you guys want to see more, or is this enough?
I would want to see more. It'd be really cool to see like even past that, like Luke, like after episode 6 or something, more of him building up his Jedi Academy, like that type of stuff would be cool. Or going like, you know, Old Republic 1,000 years in the past or whatever. But yeah, with it being more of a anthology series, it really, you could bounce around anywhere, and you know, they're short episodes, easy to watch. Why not?
I wonder where the Ahsoka live action leads us. I'm very interested in that because I think that's going to kind of tell us whether or not Ahsoka is a mainstay in stuff moving forward, or if it's kind of like the crown, you know, the finishing touch to his masterpiece. Like, I wonder what they have planned for Ahsoka, because they're investing a lot into Ahsoka, which is kind of not surprising because she's a great character, but they're not investing a lot of story into other characters that they've original characters that they've made. So, like, does this carry on into this next? You know, old Ahsoka as the Grand Master of, because it feels like they're leading like Rey down this, like, you know, the Jedi are dead, like their rules are wrong, the absolutes are wrong, and this gray Jedi kind of concept. I don't know, and Ahsoka is kind of like the poster girl for that. So I don't know, where do you guys think it leads? Do you think it leads to a dead end or somewhere farther?
I think
it's her and Rey who leads the next resurgence?
No, I think Dave Filoni is going to make Ahsoka be the only Jedi that never dies. I think he's going to. He's a big Lord of the Rings fan. He's already equated Ahsoka with Gandalf the White. I think he's going to do something where she becomes one with the Force, and we see it happen, like, but in a way where it's like she's not, like, it's going to be something that's like she becomes the daughter. Because in Clone Wars, the daughter gives up her life so that Ahsoka lives.
Yeah.
You've got the daughter following around. I think that's how the arc ends with Ahsoka, is she's going to do something, whether it's in the final season of The Mandalorian, where it's the big conflict between Mandalore and the Empire or whatever. Whatever the case may be, she's going to do something that is going to be like the Gandalf going to the Grey Havens kind of thing. Like, I think he's playing with that, and that's going to be his, like, because he loves Ahsoka so much, he has the ability to be like, I'm going to make her like the best Jedi ever.
Yeah.
I think that's what he's trying to do, and he's trying to figure out the best way to do it, and he's going to do it in live action.
And fulfilling a different role than other Jedi, great Jedi before.
Yeah, he's not going to do like a Luke thing because that's already been done. I think he has a
chosen
plan.
one. It's going to be
it's going to be like where she becomes the Force itself, kind of thing. Like because even in Rise of Skywalker, you hear Ahsoka's voice talking to Rey. Right? Ashley Eckstein voiced that, and when they asked Dave Filoni about like, oh, does that mean she's dead? He said, no, that doesn't mean it. Just because the other dead Jedi, it doesn't mean Ahsoka's dead. Mm-hmm. I think that was a hint to be like, no, she's like never dying. I don't know. I think he's
a bit of a jump. It's a bit of a jump.
But I just think he's like, if I'm
that just means she's not dead.
If I'm picking up clues that he's doing, like with the analogies to Gandalf the White, I can see him doing something like that with the sister, with the light side of the Force. But it has to differentiate from every other Jedi that's disappeared and become one with the Force. This is going to be like a bigger thing. Maybe have to do with the World Between Worlds. Yeah. That, because we've seen that. I think that's going to be like where she's maybe in control of that. She controls the destiny of things. I don't know. I just think if he's going to want to go epic, he's been setting stuff up to go epic with Ahsoka.
Yeah, I could see that for sure.
Tell me I'm wrong, Josh.
That's the dumbest thing you've ever said. I think it makes sense. Whether or not, I mean, obviously he has a lot of time to set that up because you have the problem of you need to explain who the brother, the father, and the sister are for people that have no clue, that are introduced in, obviously how they do that, who knows? I think it's a plausible thing, and I think it would make sense that Dave Filoni would basically make Ahsoka never die, essentially.
Yeah.
I mean, Jedis already do it, so
right.
I mean, it's not a big deal.
Yeah, I guess I'm trying to say it in a different way. That's something that she's more like.
Yeah, you're trying to introduce a new mechanic.
Yeah.
Existence.
But even with you're saying like, he'd have to explain a lot. I don't think he's interested in explaining to normies who Ahsoka is and what it's done. I think he already has like the fact that Star Wars fans hated Ahsoka when she was first introduced, and now hardcore Star Wars fans love Ahsoka and are like, man, this is insane. I think he only cares about those people. And he has so much power at Lucasfilm that he can do whatever he wants with Ahsoka.
Unlimited power?
Unlimited power. And so I think he could be like, hey, this is going to be your story. And then for those people that are like, oh, why is she such a big deal? You're going to have all the fans that are like, hey, go back and watch this. Go back and watch Clone Wars.
When
go
the
Ahsoka
watch episode finishes, they pop up the Clone Wars episode.
So I think that's what he cares about. And he is talking to George Lucas. Like, they still have a relationship. So I think him and George are kind of like setting this up.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Is this
George
the Phantom
Lucas,
Menace?
George Lucas is coming back to direct the final Ahsoka episode where she... No. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if something like that happens.
Dave Filoni is going to lunches or brunches every Sunday.
Yeah.
You heard it on the Nerd Age podcast.
This guy gets wild. This guy just starts saying stuff.
I know for a fact they're having conversations.
Guys, I listen to my imagination.
It's just the longer it goes, it gets a little bit looser and a little bit looser, and then we get to brunches on Sundays.
No, I didn't say it. You did.
Yeah, but that's where he still talks to him every day.
He does. I mean, not every day, but they still have conversations.
Well, they're buddies.
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah. Anything else on Tales of the Jedi?
No.
We good? Do we want to rate it? What do we give Tales of the Jedi? You already said an 8.
Yeah,
right?
8.2. I'll do 8.2.
I give it an 8.8. I really liked it. I didn't think there was anything that I was like. The only nitpicks I had were stuff that I was like, man, I wanted more of that, and I think that's a good thing. Like,
maybe things are a little too brief.
Yeah, when you're left wanting more. But again, I'll say like the fact that he was able to really enhance characters in 13 minutes. Like and make me feel something in 13 minutes. Yeah. I think this is a testament to how good Dave Filoni is and how well he knows his stuff. So I give it an 8.
Yeah, I think the only reason why it's not in a 9 for me is because there were some episodes that were just kind of like, in my opinion, non-consequential and didn't matter as much, and so I wish they used the time a little bit better. But yeah,
Okay.
I'll do a 9. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like I said, I think Dave Filoni. I really wish they just put him in charge of everything Lucasfilm, because he really everything.
It's tough. Because
Everything that he touches, it just is. It's so good, and it really screams George Lucas too. So
Because they're having brunch.
I've been vocal about how I felt about some of the later movies, and they just, to me, they don't have that same feel. And stuff like Tales of the Jedi and The Mandalorian, just, I don't know, they feel more like the Star Wars that I knew. So
the only thing I wonder if you guys, if he did touch everything, it would be more of a watered down version of him, because he's not, he has to sleep, he has to eat, right? He can't touch everything that they create. I agree. I think everything would be higher quality.
Sure.
But we wouldn't have a more specialized thing. Do you guys think that just overall it would be better for everything? Like to have less of him, but a little bit in everything? Or all of him in one thing?
I think there's gonna be all of him in like the Ahsoka stuff and certain projects. He's like, I want this, but I think
he's already doing that,
right? But I'm thinking like if you made him like, hey, everything has to go through Dave Filoni as far as
it
like
can't happen. The amount of stuff that they're pushing is way too
right,
much.
But I'm saying like it's you have him and several other people like.
Oh.
The Mount Rushmore.
Jedi
Like some
Council.
people that end up being like, hey, does this work? Does this have conflicts with canon? I think if he would have been in charge of like the sequel trilogy, it would have worked better to him not to him directing, but him being like,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that doesn't.
But that's
why
a
are we not connecting
specialized-
this? Yeah. So I think he is now like the head of something at Lucasfilm. Like
some
he's
fancy title.
So I think they've already made that decision. So I think a lot of the stuff that's coming out is his like under him.
keep it going.
Yeah, but we then have Mando season, we have Book of Boba Fett, and we have his episodes with Ahsoka and stuff like that. Like
those were the best ones.
But what I'm saying is like you can see how different these
that's
are.
true.
They're on totally different levels.
Yeah.
Emotional wise, like just evoking emotion. Like he's just so good at that.
Yeah.
I don't know. It would be tough. I mean, I'd like to see it. Maybe they try it out for a year or two where he's just touching everything as much as he can and affecting everything. But man, I mean, he is human, so it's really rough. Yeah, he's already probably getting destroyed work wise. But what do you think, Josh?
What do I think about Dave Filoni touching everything?
That's weird how you say that.
I think it's doable because we see it with Marvel with Kevin Feige kind of basically not directing but like touching everything. Like everything
has his hand in everything.
Right.
Does that help?
Yeah.
Me too.
Nice.
Me too.
So I think it's doable. I don't know necessarily whether or not
It's like Kevin Feige is now all over everything, and it feels like the level of everything is just lower now. Like he's not as invested in single projects as much.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think
so.
it would suffer a little bit of that.
Yeah. I think Star Wars won't go quite as far out as Marvel.
True.
At least I hope it
Not
doesn't.
that many characters.
We're creating a lot.
Yeah, but I think
We got a 12 episode season from Cassian Andor.
Yeah,
I
but-
never thought we'd be doing that, but here we are.
But a lot of
There's
times,
gonna be more of those.
A lot of times, if you do that, they're not well-known characters as far as like, oh, we're doing our first Spider-Man. Now we're doing the X-Men. And
Right.
Like those are like
It's not
big
like
IPs.
we're
Like
doing
Cassian
Chewie.
Andor is
we're
like
doing Greedo.
So I think like
Never
Greedo
know,
series.
man. You never know, bro.
I think as long as they keep it kind of like, oh, there's these projects that he's gonna work on because he's got to do Ahsoka, he's got to do Ezra, he's got to
doing
do
that.
Thrawn. Like, yeah,
they're doing
But
that.
I think he's overall him like being like, oh, you're doing Rogue Squadron. Well, let me see. Like, what do you guys got? Like, let me read the script. Let me give some ideas of like, oh, this should be different. This doesn't work as a Jedi. Like, go. Like, I think he's already doing that, and I think that's better for everybody because he knows so much about it that he can be like, this doesn't sound like Jedi or this doesn't sound like Star Wars.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like, he's more of a like overseer.
See, I don't disagree. I agree, but I think he does so well when he's writing himself and like writing each episode. Like it's so good. Like you can obviously see when other people are getting hold of these stories, they're just weaker. And so I don't know.
Well, I'm not saying he write everything, and obviously he's still doing his, like, he's still gonna write his Ahsoka stuff. But I'm saying, like, he's a net that, like, hey, Kathleen Kennedy's like, hey, this script for this new movie, read it, give me your thoughts. And he reads it and he's like, this was weak. This doesn't feel like Star Wars.
I
Like,
get what you're
I
saying.
think that
I'm just saying I don't think a human can do as much as they're putting out at the level in fully investing himself in the Ahsoka series and Tales of the Jedi and looking after Mandalorian season 3 or whatever. Like he can't do everything.
But once Ahsoka's dead, then he's got a lot.
Or not dead.
That's right.
Ascended.
Once he tells a story. Once he tells a story. What did you give?
What's the rating?
I give it a 9.4.
Wow,
I really like
high up there.
It's good.
It's probably one of my favorite Star Wars things to come out in recent. I feel like, I mean, Andor's really good. I really enjoy Andor, but something about this, I think, like you said, Corey, bringing back some of the old
music,
themes, the thematics. I really
symbolism.
Yeah,
dude,
I really enjoyed the themes running through
Yes.
Ahsoka and the Dooku storyline, especially. I really enjoyed seeing all the Dooku stuff. It's something I've wanted to see ever since the Clone Wars episode where Yoda has the vision of Dooku
At
happy.
the tree. Yeah,
at the tree, and it's like,
dude.
So I want to see more Dooku, and it really gave me a good story. Yeah, happy Dooku.
See more happy Dooku.
I wish they would have done a flashback with Dooku and Qui-Gon. That would have been sick to kind of have like a younger Qui-Gon to see some kind of thing with them. But I mean, these episodes were 15 minutes long, guys, and they were evoking that much emotion. Like I'm just saying, it's pretty sick.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah, really good.
Nice. Well, that'll do it for our Tales of the Jedi discussion. Make sure you subscribe and like. That helps us out a ton. We're on YouTube. We're on Facebook. We are on Twitter. We are on TikTok. We're Instagram. We're everywhere. So
we got our
follow.
hands in it.
Yeah, we're
touching everything.
We're like Dave Filoni. We got our hands on everything.
Right.
So make sure you follow us, and you'll be seeing more of us posting whenever we get like trailers and news and Star Wars stuff. So thank you so much for hanging out with us, and we'll see y'all next week.